What's good, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Cover One Film Room, the show that gives you the hows and the whys behind both the good and the bad of the Buffalo Bills. I am one of your two hosts, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner. And Eric, we sit here with the new year upon us and the playoffs on the horizon and about to break down a game that was ugly for the Buffalo Bills, but still painfully, ironically, very much within their grasp, and they came oh so close, but they were unable to pull out the game at home against the Philadelphia Eagles, losing 13-12. We will be diving into both sides of the ball in this edition of the Film Room. But Eric, as always, before we do that, how you doing? How you feeling? How's it going?
Good. Happy New Year. It's on the horizon, like you said. Unfortunately, yes, we do have to recover this game. And, it was a frustrating loss. And it definitely felt like one of those games that was like decided by just like what, two or three plays.
Yep.
And, it just, that's what happens when you play championship caliber teams, playoff caliber teams with playoff caliber and championship caliber talent. And so, that is one silver lining I took from this game is, yes, both these teams have their own issues. Most teams do. Even the teams making the playoffs, most teams have issues and have weaknesses. But this game, to me, showed me that the Bills, this team, can compete with anyone. I'm sorry. Like, for all the complaining and critiquing that we do on this show, on social media, and, analyzing every little thing about this team, one thing that I came away from was that they can compete. They can compete with any team, regardless of who's on their roster. I'm sorry, this team, the Bills, are a team, and they show it, and they play like it, till the very end, until that last whistle. And as you saw, there was an opportunity at the end of that game for the Bills to snatch that win away from the Eagles, but they fell short.
The parallels in this game versus the Eagles with the one that they lost in Philly a couple years ago, even down to like it being a close game and
Yeah.
a couple plays deciding it, even down to didn't happen in the same moment, but Brandin Cooks wins vertical. Allen puts it on the other shoulder, just like with Gabe Davis in Philly a couple years ago. When that moment happened, this is going to sound so dumb. I was literally like, we're going to lose this game super close. I just felt it in my bones because of that stupid little similarity. And yeah, I think this one was frustrating because they struggled and it was ugly, and Philly's a good team, even though they've got their own entire other set of vulnerabilities and deficiencies, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, this one felt these were the ones that get me more. Like, I would rather, I didn't like losing to Miami because it's Miami. And granted, that game was a little closer than the final score indicated, but someone kills you, cool. I'd rather be killed than have this game where like you played bad, but I'd rather have a game where it was like, well, these 15 things went wrong and we lost, rather than like, well, if we just flip these one or two things, it could be a completely different game. And this was one of those, even just literally down to the 2-point conversion play at the end. Just that one play changes it literally, but a multitude of other things, before that. And I think that's well said by you, even through all the warts and the problems with this team that exist on both sides of the ball. And, I think at this point, they're pretty much well known amongst the entire fan base. This is still a Bills team that's going to be pretty much in every game. And yeah, if they were tightened up in some other areas, it would make them a better championship contender. But I mean, strap in, because this is what the playoffs are going to be like. These close, ugly games. And it's going to come down to whether or not the Bills make those 2 or 3 plays, or if they're on the short side of those 2 or 3 plays against these other teams that are kind of in a similar boat.
Yeah. I mean, you hope that the defense keeps playing like they are, and we get playoff Josh. Aside from, again, some of the struggles he's had late this season. And so it's going to be interesting. And in this game specifically, listen, we love Cromer. We love the Bills offensive line. We go into the nitty gritty about the X's and O's, the technique, the structure of the offensive line, their strengths, their weaknesses. We have had more offensive linemen on this show than any other position on the Bills. So we cover them pretty intently, right? When you saw that offensive line of the Bills up against the first and second wave of that Eagles defensive line, you knew it was going to be a battle. You saw how much juice and athleticism and length and speed and everything. The Bills offensive line, as good as they are, that defensive line and that defensive talent, you could sense it. It was just, it popped on film. It popped when you're watching the broadcast. Any one of those defensive linemen on the Eagles could win a one-on-one against, again, 5 very, very good offensive linemen of the Bills, especially if we're talking interior offensive line versus the interior defensive line of the Eagles. I thought that is where the Bills kind of lost this game. You know, the defensive tackles versus the guards, specifically Torrance and Edwards. I thought that's where the game was won and lost. And for too much of the game, I will say I thought the second half, those guys did better. They settled in, kind of adjusted and recalibrated.
Yeah.
But those guys inside, I thought, struggled versus Jalen Carter, Ojomo, Jordan Davis. I mean, pretty much any defensive tackle they had out there, when the ball was snapped, those guys were firing their hands, firing their feet, active feet. They're engaged, they're two gap, and they're running down the line of scrimmage. They were getting off blocks. The athleticism of that defensive front of the Eagles stood out again against a very talented offensive line of the Bills. And I think that's where the game was won and lost.
And it's crazy that compared to last year, like they lost 2 of their better players in Milton Williams and Josh Sweat.
Exactly.
And like they lost them both. The huge Sweat goes to Arizona on a huge free agency deal.
Right.
Williams goes. And they just are like, okay, well, we'll trade for Jalen Phillips, mid-year to kind of bolster a bit. Yeah, I think that's such a good call. You felt it against the run, against the pass. Yeah, firing off the ball, like violence and pop in their hands, like just whether they were two gap, and like you said, you felt like the shock and shedder. If they were penetrating, you felt that. You felt juice. There was one I posted earlier today. Ojomo gets a sack on Allen where it just the snap, he shoots out of the gate right into Edwards, and Edwards is able to stall him a bit.
Turns him.
Yeah. And Ojomo just like core strength fights through and just with pure effort and core strength gets Allen down. It was just a different type of grouping up there. And then even going to the second level with what Zach Baun offers and Jihad Campbell and the athleticism there and some of the juice there. Yeah, it's a formidable group. And for as much maligned as so much of the conversation, especially this year is Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and Nick Sirianni, and defensively, it's more like, oh, Cooper DeJean, like a white DB who's good, ha ha ha. And lost in that, I think, has kind of been how good their front is and how their defense is, especially with Fangio at the helm. But you had dudes, I mean, Marcus Epps is coming from depth and flipping James Cook as he's fitting and finishing. Like they came out with a purpose defensively. You felt it from a physicality standpoint. Just they set the tone. And that doesn't mean that the Bills aren't physical or the Bills are soft, but that talent on that side of the ball, that physicality, that game plan, and the Bills were able to settle in a little bit as that game went on. But yeah, you felt it throughout the game. Even when the Bills were moving the ball, it was still a fight because of the dudes they have on that side of the ball, how they attack. And it just starts with the front and it makes its way through back to the back.
Yeah. Josh was under pressure 42.9% of the game, according to PFF. He was 6 for 11 for 128 yards, all not bad, 11.6 yards per attempt. But it just shows you how much he was taxed, right? And you could see it after the game and how much stress he was under in that game, and because of the pressure and the wave of talent and the speed of that defense. The Bills are not a vertical team, although they hit on some verticals in this game.
Of course, the game that they hit some vertical stuff, they lose. Yeah. Like that's even more annoying.
But it's funny because all the stuff they were throwing underneath, it was capped, and then it was just those guys were getting wiped out because of that top-down structure of Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. You just saw the closing speed showing up, the physicality showing up at all 3 levels. I agree with you there. And so Josh was underdressed a little bit. I thought his processor was too fast. I think he sped through his progressions too quickly and jumped ahead, going from 1 to 3 instead of 1, 2, 3, check down, And so I think that shows up, and we're going to break down some of those plays, the good and the bad of Josh. And I think that's where it started, Anthony. I think that pressure and that talent and that speed on the defensive side of the ball, the Eagles really caught Josh off guard. Maybe not off guard, but made him have to recalibrate it, because for a lot of this game, it was just a roller coaster ride when it came to his decision making, whether he could, he'll hit a deep pass and then the next play, go ahead and fumble it again. We'll break that down and you can debate if it was the throw or a fumble, whatever. It doesn't matter. We saw what happened. But it just was such a roller coaster ride. And you hope that when the playoffs start, that Josh is not in that mode because those teams are too good. You saw it. It doesn't take much. All it took, honestly, the Bills probably win that game if Josh checks it down and doesn't, fumble it there and the Eagles take over and get points off of that drive. And then they won another couple of drives soon after that. I believe if Josh doesn't turn it over there, the Bills win that game. That's the razor thin margins that you're living by against teams like the Eagles who won the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, I mean, that turnover leads to the only touchdown for the Eagles in that game and kind of started to get them rolling a little bit. Granted, the Bills defense recovered and kind of pushed back throughout the entire second half. But yeah, that turnover loomed large and you just felt, and we get this sometimes when Josh feels like it's on him. Like when he presses like that, it just felt like he was pressing in the game. And sometimes he presses and you get throws to Tyrell Shavers against the Buccaneers and you're like, oh my God. And then sometimes you get some of the stuff you saw here. And what's dangerous or scary when Allen presses is when he presses and things don't go well, he presses harder and he presses harder. And that's just not ideal for him. It's not ideal for the offense. We got to stop. Oh, thank you very much, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, for being here. Thank you for the super chat. Carl says, Happy New Year's Eve, gentlemen. I was at the game. I think that it was the right call to go for 2. Sorry, Ant. I was planning to go to One Pie Pizza on Monday for lunch, but I had to escape the storm. No worries. I appreciate your intent. I'm sorry you didn't get to have any. It would have been great, especially after that loss. But yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the super chat. Eric, actually, while we're on it, and Carl's thought here, did you have any, issues with the Bills going for 2 there?
No. As soon as it was blocked, as soon as that field goal was blocked, I go, if they score, because I mean, we know they're a second half team. We know what Josh can do and how special he gets, especially in that fourth quarter. I pretty much assumed they were going to score, and I said they have to go for 2. And the reason I think they should have gone for 2, like they did, was because, listen, the Bills are in the playoffs. The most important part about this coming week is getting to the playoffs healthy. And so I wanted to finish the game right there. So going for 2.
I just want to be done. Let's end this game.
Yeah. It would have been a lot better if your kicker made the extra point and didn't get it blocked. But that's not what happened. I liked going for 2. I wanted the game done there. I think it's fair to say the Bills were dominating and the Eagles probably weren't going to move the ball. That's a fair assumption. But that's extending the game and extending the risk of guys getting injured, including your franchise quarterback who already is dinged up.
That's super fair. Yeah, and I echo those sentiments. And I thought going for 2 was fine. I understood the notion of like your defense has been locked down, take your chances, go into it, keep playing it. But yeah, I didn't have faith in Badgley to make the extra point, whether it gets blocked or not. So I was fine with that. 2, Philly's defense was on the field the entirety of that second half. They were on the ropes. I got that to me was very much, it was more from like almost like a boxing perspective. I felt like there was like 20 seconds left in the round and your opponent's wobbly. And I'm like, drop them. Like, don't let the bell hit. Don't let them
recover. Those last 2 drives took a lot out of them.
Yeah, you saw hands on hips. Dudes were sucking wind. The Bills were moving the ball on them. And I felt like they had them on the ropes, literally and figuratively. So execute right there. And I didn't have faith in Badgley. So I was like, cool. And then if you add in the injury component that you mentioned as well, I thought going for 2 was I didn't think people would be so upset with the going for 2 thing, especially with the whole like, Sean McDermott's not aggressive enough. He's too conservative and this and that. Like I figured people would be like, yeah, let's win the game. I was surprised there was so much backlash. But again, if they won, nobody would care. And, process over results, the play worked. It was beautiful. And Khalil Shakir was wide open.
Yeah, I agree, man. That was when the game was over and you get to the presser and you hear some of the questions and you see social and what, people are asking. I'm like, hold on. People had an issue with that?
Yeah.
I thought that would have been the majority, pick, but it obviously wasn't. But no, I liked the decision and the explanation that McDermott gave and covering all his bases. I like that. But again, the play was there. It worked. It was a beautiful constraint play. We talk about constraints all the time, made it look like that speed boot. And then you have a backside high-low concept, and it was beautiful.
It was
You had
there.
Shakir matched up on a linebacker. It was
And
beautiful.
Campbell's peeking in the backfield. He gets
Peeking, all the
completely
safeties are
lost.
waiting for the crosser. It was gorgeous. We're gonna break it down actually. But
God.
that was the ups and downs of Josh in this game. We're gonna go back onto the roller coaster. We're gonna go ahead and look at some of this film. And so we're gonna start off on the offensive side of the ball early in this game with the deep shot to Brandin Cooks. Let's go ahead and get this rolling here. All right. So I love this concept. First of all, you got that deep crossing route by Shakir. You have the skinny post by Cooks. And then you even got the dagger by Palmer. Man, you're really attacking all three levels off of play action.
Yeah.
Josh hits the top of his drop. He's eyeing Mitchell to make sure that he nails down on the tight end so that he can work back here if he wants to on that deep crosser. And then he looks deep and he's like, okay, Blankenship, number 32, is watching, both of those releases by Cooks and Shakir. And as soon as Blankenship nails down on the crosser by Shakir, Josh knows, man, okay, I got leverage on the deep safety. Cooper DeJean is left in the dust, and now he can just air it out to Cooks. And I think it's fair to say, I think you even tweeted about it, this probably could have been a touchdown, but given the events that have happened the last couple of weeks, Cooks goes to secure the ball in the elements here rather than trying to catch it and run through it for the touchdown. But it was big.
Real quick, I feel that I feel like him jumping up and body catching and going to ground is maybe more risky than just like catch it with your feet on the ground, man. Like secure it.
It depends. I think that's fair.
And he smacked his head on the ground. I was waiting for him to come up with a concussion.
That is true. And as you know, in certain elements, in certain situations where if you're getting bodied by a defender, there are certain speaking of getting bodied, Josh
Allen got
getting bodied right there.
Jalen Hunt is another dude. Yeah, we can get Josh Sweat. Go away. Brandon Graham, do whatever. We got guys waiting in the wings.
But there are certain situations where body catching it is understandable, or you can rationalize it. And like I said, I think because of the elements and him dropping passes the last few weeks, he wanted to secure this one all the way through.
He catches it like it's a baby, like he's got a newborn baby clutching it to his chest.
Yeah, and then he like kind of softens his belly and cradles it,
Yeah, like he's got like a mama cub. With
so I mean, you could argue that he could have caught that and kept running, but I liked them setting the tone in the game, with this kind of play that Brandin Cooks. And this is the type of vertical element. I think in all, the Bills had 4 explosive plays in this game. This was one of them.
Yeah, I was super excited when this popped. The others, Cook, which we'll take a peek at with things like Shavers was kind of a prayer a little bit. And then you get the one, another one to Cooks later where he just makes an awesome catch. I like this one because it was just like you tied into in the beginning. I really like this concept. I like pulling that backside safety. He's forced to nail down on Shakir, and then you've got the post wide open. You can see Cooper DeJean. He's carrying Cooks and is kind of like just carrying him, like expecting help over the top and inside there. And then all of a sudden he looks back and he's like, uh-oh, I got to get on my horse because he sees Blankenship have to nail down on Shakir on that over, and all of a sudden he's like, uh-oh, now he's in chase mode. And then to your other point, even if Allen was like, oh, you know what? I'm still not feeling that a little bit. Palmer comes open.
Yes.
Like right at the top of the numbers right there by the 30. He's wide open there. Like this concept worked so well, especially knowing like the kind of coverages that Philly likes to play and how they will move like kind of, 5-over-3 type of deal and what they want to do in the Fangio system and scheme and how they match. And they'll use that backside safety to poach and grab. And he's there for those dudes like that. Like Shakir is there on that crosser. So I thought this was a good concept, a good scheme. I was extremely pumped when they hit that deep shot. Plus, we just talked about it, last week? Like everybody will forget about all the Cooks drops once he has like one catch for 65 yards. And there he goes.
There you go. Right off the bat. That was funny. A great point. We did allude to that last week and how they needed to stick with him because he is going to be a valuable part of this playoff run. But, it didn't last long, Anthony. That high of getting the ball down the field, that explosive play to Cooks, no less, didn't last long because of this play action play that was there, that was drawn up beautifully, just like the last one, where Josh just needs to throw it out to Haas. It's there.
And it's second and short. It's what? It's like second and 3 right here or something short.
Yeah,
Throw the ball. Throw the ball.
just
First
throw
down.
it out there.
That's it.
And so he bypasses that, and now he goes into scramble drill mode. And honestly, he had multiple opportunities probably to throw it to him even after he passes
Mhm.
Carter there. He still gives it up. He's looking down the field. And then again, whether it was a forward pass or a fumble, either way, it's ruled a fumble and the Eagles take over. Just a dumb decision by Josh. Like, you got to understand, man. Just if you're not throwing it to Hawes, who's wide open, throw it away. Stop holding on to the ball this long. This has gotten Josh into so much trouble over the years, but it probably even more so this year when we're talking sacks, because he's held on to the ball for an extended amount of time. He's taken some dumb sacks, 298 yards, Anthony, in sacks this year. He's surrendered the highest in his entire career. The second highest in his career was 166 yards, so double almost.
Yeah, his pressure to sack rate has jumped up this year
19
more
and a
than
half, right?
yeah, more than double what it was
Yeah.
last year. It's the highest of his career right now, and we're still not finished with including regular season and postseason. It's the highest of his career, beating I think his second year in the league, first year in the league, it was like 18.9. Yeah, we're just kind of seeing that affect him. And this one, you get the deep shot on second and 16, and it moves. That's one we just showed to Cooks, and it moves the ball down there. And then they come on first down, they run the ball. The next play, I believe on duo, get like a 7-yard gain, and you're sitting here second and 3. So you just hit a deep shot. You get a nice chunk from the run. Hawes is right there. Just take it, get the first down. I understand maybe even he's thinking he want to play devil's advocate. Oh, it's second and 3. Maybe he's trying for something else. But, to your point, Hawes is there through the entirety of this. Like, even as Hawes tries to, like, in scramble drill, like, he pushes upfield a little bit and then kind of comes back and makes his way back to Allen. He's still available there. And then, yeah, Tom Brady's on the broadcast, and we get kind of like a mini tuck rule type of thing here, which, of course, and then
Jinx.
Yeah, jinx. And then I got to hear Tom Brady even more on this game talk about leather gloves every 5 minutes versus plastic gloves.
I'm surprised we haven't seen a meme on that yet. Maybe I missed it. I totally told my wife, I go, because she's like, why does he keep talking about that? And there's some validity to his conversation, but I'm like, he's going back to the well like too many times.
Too much. So almost to the point that I expected, like on Monday, like, oh, Tom Brady announces like leather glove company that's been in the works for a year. Like, I was just waiting. I was like, this is too much. Like, what is he doing? And yeah, you get this fumble, non-fumble, but this is really such a huge, pivotal, changing moment. Again, maybe Badgley doesn't make the kick, but you're thinking you're coming away with points in this drive, second and 3. You're set up well after 2 successful plays, and then all of a sudden, tables turn a little bit. That turnover ends up leading to a touchdown for the Eagles, and kind of starts Allen down that path of pressing a little bit more. And we've talked about it for years. He makes a mistake. He wants to make up for it. And if he doesn't, it only makes him try harder and press more. And the way this game was going, all of that kind of snowballed. I guess it's not no pun intended, because it rained in this game, didn't snow.
Yeah.
I wish it snowed. The rain was worse.
Right. And so we move on to the big Shavers catch down the field. Bomb is screaming a little out and up. And it's one of those plays where Josh just let it fly. He trusted Shavers down the field against Quinyon Mitchell, no less. And you see Shavers, he does a great job of reeling that in. But what's funny about this, Anthony, is this is like their Hank concept. Top of the screen, you have a flat route, very fast flat route to Shakir, curl route by Gabe Davis. And when you get to the top of the drop, Cooper DeJean, he's screaming out to the flats, taking away Shakir. But you see Gabe Davis just waiting for DeJean to clear. Look where Josh's eyes are. Already moved on his progressions. Why? I don't know. But as you can see, Josh moved beyond his first 2 reads before anything developed. And if you look outside, you can see there's only essentially, a couple guys outside the hash here.
Yeah.
And maybe the safety stacked over DeJean because DeJean maybe is going to blitz. Obviously, he doesn't blitz here, but maybe that's what Josh is thinking. But you see the clear out by DeJean. You see the Eagles send everybody. You have this wide open. So while it was awesome to see, again, a vertical explosive play to Shavers, no less, Gabe Davis is there for the taking. All right. And so result is great. Process is bad. And this has been kind of the ride with Josh this year. Again, more so than last year under Joe Brady.
Yeah. And this is a 2nd and 7. If he spits it out to Gabe Davis, you're thinking, I don't know, at worst, like 3rd and 2.
Right.
If Gabe, why do I keep saying Diggs? If Gabe Davis gets tackled, I'm running it back with everybody. Gabe
Yeah,
Davis,
might as
Stephon
well,
Diggs,
man.
John Brown, Cole Beasley. Let's get
Yeah.
after it. Lee
Bring
Smith.
everyone
Yeah,
back.
let's do it. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, the whole band. Matt Breida, Bills legend. Yeah, if he hits Davis here, even if he gets stopped right there at the 35, it's 3rd and 3, very manageable. And to your point, the read is there. Okay, DeJean vacates with Shakir, bang, that's the read. It's there. If he's thinking DeJean is going to blitz, to your point, maybe he's capped by the safety. Shakir is probably
Still.
going to be open. Yeah,
Yep.
there's still like that read there, unless the corner is going to take him to
1-2.
the flat, but then you still have the opportunity to get it to Davis. The leverage and the numbers still speak to that concept. And yes, exactly to your point. Like, I'm sure people will see this and be like, why are you guys complaining? He completes a deep shot. Amazing catch by Shavers. 1000%. Allen chucks it up there. Shavers makes a great play against a really good, young, athletic, physical corner. But still, yeah, F it, let it fly, which is cool. But also, like, it shouldn't have come to that.
Yes.
Like, and this, I think, is symptomatic of all the other things when people are talking about he's not hitting the easy stuff underneath. He's not taking the check down. He's not taking the easy completions. Everybody yells at him for it when it's bad, but then kind of glosses over it when it's good. And this is a glossing over because it's good. So the end result is sweet, but the way he got there, not very ideal. This is a low percentage play. Like, the fact that it happens, again, is a testament to Shavers and actually decent ball placement from Allen. But
And actually a good play on the ball by Mitchell as well.
It's not bad. His
Honestly,
hands are
right
there.
through the pocket.
He's punching through. He's right there. Like, even kind of
So if
tries
this is intercepted, what do you think fans are saying,
Oh,
Anthony?
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, especially on a
You're
2nd and
blowing the
7.
progression. Yeah.
Exactly. And imagine, too, so they're down 13-0. It's 2nd and 7. Gabe Davis is wide open. If this gets picked, everybody's like, why is he chucking it down the field for a low percentage throw on 2nd and 7? Gabe is wide open. Similarly to the again, Shavers, similarly to the Chuck to Shavers against the Bucks,
100%.
where I think Gabe Davis was also wide open.
It's the same thing.
Was like, yeah, take the throw, and he doesn't. And I don't know, maybe this magic continues. But it's just, it's just that throw is there. Stay on schedule, especially in a game where your run game isn't really clicking.
Right.
It's just these process over results or results over process, however you want to label it.
So we move on to play from the low red zone. A pass that's completed to Shakir. Really nice play call here. But and honestly, this is probably a touchdown. When this happened, Anthony, on this mesh concept, when this happened, I go, if they lose, it's going to be because of this play. This slight hiccup in accuracy by Josh. If Josh just hits Shakir on his front shoulder, leads him out ahead just a little bit, as these guys collide right here, you're going to see this guy in chase. If Josh just leads it out here, this is a walk-in touchdown. You know, instead, he throws to the back shoulder. Shakir has to adjust. He loses speed. And now you see that team speed close on Shakir to keep him out of the end zone when this should have been a touchdown, especially on mesh. Please, like, come on, man. Like, you got to get in there, for God's sakes. It was a good call. It was there. Just place it properly, Josh. And this is a touchdown.
I feel like mesh is so it never worked under Dorsey, and then it was like great under Brady, and now it's like reverted. I feel like we're cursed. Like, mesh is just this cursed concept.
It is, and it makes you wonder because it's gone. This mesh concept has carried through many offensive coordinators under Josh Allen. So, in my opinion, this is Josh's fault. The only reason he must like this play, and that's why it's always in the playbook, regardless of what coordinator's in there. And so, Josh, you got to be better when you're talking placement so that Shakir can get into the end zone.
Yeah, and that's exactly it on it. Like, this is well designed, well called, however you want to like verbalize it. You get that collision point. Shakir is wide open, and it's just he puts it on that back shoulder. And Shakir, instead of leading him to that nicely yellow highlighted box that you have there, put it on that front shoulder. And he's been so good at this these past several weeks, like guys out of the backfield or guys on these underneath routes. Even last week, he had a throw to Shakir over the middle against the Browns, pins it right on that front shoulder, allows him to, continue and get some run after catch.
Against the Patriots, the rail portion of the mesh.
Yes. And instead, like that freeze frame is perfect right there. Shakir has to turn around. His momentum is stopped. His body is contorted. there's a chance because he is Khalil Shakir, like maybe he's able to kind of spin through this and make a great play, puts his foot in the ground, gets through, whatever. But this was just an unnecessarily difficult, a play that was made unnecessarily difficult because of the ball placement from Allen. He's got good protection. He's not, got guys draped on him. He doesn't have the pocket breaking down. He's right there. This is a routine throw. Get through your
Yeah.
reads. There's the guy. Put it on the shoulder. Touchdown. That's it. And instead,
Yeah.
some poor ball placement and, a tackle after, and we get a 0-point play on this one when it should have been at least 6.
And I do think his mechanics does show up on this play. You can see him at the top of the drop right here. Just look how he steps. He kind of steps on the midline. So I know it's hard to tell from this angle, but basically the back foot, the right foot right here, should be aimed at where the ball is going to go. And so that when you step forward with that left foot, you can clear it. And you see Josh kind of steps on that midline of that right foot. And then he doesn't follow through all the way. You can see him like right there. He doesn't follow through all the way.
Yeah.
So I do think his sequencing or mechanics are kind of off on this. But again, he has made throws without his footwork being right, without his mechanics being right. This is just not one of those games. And maybe it's because of the injury or whatever. But either way, I think this was a big miss when we're talking placement. And so I know, there's guys in the chat room talking about why are we complaining about a 4-yard, pass to Gabe Davis. Well, these little things add up. These little things like inaccurate placement on this pass to Shakir. It was nice process and bad process, good results on the last play. But all these little things add up to the Bills losing 13-12, guys. Think about that. 13-12. That could have been a nice touchdown in their back pocket. But because of the bad placement, you see them obviously not getting a touchdown on that play.
Yeah, and it all ties into everything with staying on schedule. It, for better or for worse, whether people like it or don't, what this offense is this year is staying on schedule, staying ahead of the sticks, staying positive on down and distances, and running the football. They are not built for, 2nd and 10s and 3rd and 12s and 3rd and 9s, especially with some of the stuff we're seeing with the protection, and all the 5-man protection stuff and how the protection's getting gamed up and, the good fronts that they're seeing from a talent perspective. They have to stay on schedule. And part of that is on Josh Allen. When it's first down and a 4-yard pass is there, take it to get it to 2nd and 6, or a guy breaks a tackle and get it to 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. Or if it's 2nd and 3 and you have a guy wide open for 5 yards in the flat, take it and keep moving the chains. This is what we saw from him earlier in the year when he was quarterbacking more and he was playing within the offense, playing within himself, and we saw them continue to succeed just like he did last year. It's part of the bigger picture, and it's what makes this offense go.
So here's another play, Josh going through his progressions and kind of bypassing the last one in his progression. So top of the screen, similar to the Gabe Davis, Shakir combination, more of your hand route. I love how they sneak Palmer in from the backside on a little high-low. But those guys are pretty much taken away. You see all 3 of those guys are pretty much taken away. Josh moves with his eyes and feet through his progressions. He feels a little heat off the edge of the right side with Cooper DeJean. So as soon as he's about to get to the check down, who is Brandin Cooks on this escort swing right here, by the time he gets to him, there's a little pressure. So I'll give him that. But as soon as he bypasses DeJean right here, boom, get it out to him right now. Why are you looking back this way? He's looking back over the middle, and you can make the case that there is an option there. But this is your check down. This is getting numbers, space, and leverage in your favor. Get it to Cooks, and with his lead blocker, a tight end out in front for a touchdown. Instead, Josh pump fakes, tries taking it himself, and he had, again, much like the Hawes play, had multiple opportunities to shoot it out there to Cooks for an easy walk-in touchdown once again.
Yeah, I echo that similarly. I don't have much to add. I get, as he's getting through everything, like you said, you're thinking, kind of following along with his eyes. If he doesn't get heated up by DeJean coming off the edge, you would think he probably gets to Cook, spits it out. There's lots of space. It's 2-on-1, Bills advantage out there. But even as the play continues, he completely forgets that Cooks exists or anybody exists out there. And that's what really gets me. If he's going through the progression and he is going to go to Cooks or wants to get there and he gets heated up and he steps up, you would think, okay, he'll step up, get it to him. And then you have highlighted now, like now he's moving. There's a
Shovel it
defender.
to him.
Yes, he's
You
right
love
there.
doing it. Shovel it to him.
You do it all the time. You don't even need to throw this overhand. Just do one of your backhand flips right on him or kind of lead him into the goal line. Boom, you're done. I don't know why he doesn't look there at all. I get not being able to get there initially to Cooks because of how he's going through the progression. And then right there, like you would think with where he is from a body position standpoint, if DeJean isn't coming off that edge, you would think he sees what's happening and is going to spit it out to Cooks.
And he's done it several times this year, right? James Cook, remember?
He has done it a ton. But my issue is, if he is going to spit it out from Cook or spit it out to Cooks, he can't because of DeJean. So once he steps up, why does he look back? Why does he go over there? But even if he does, Ty Johnson's open.
He is.
Granted, maybe that low hole player there, by the field goal post, maybe Jalix Hunt is getting in the window and he does. Hunt settles down a little bit. Maybe that's in the way. Fine. Go to Cooks. You didn't even need to go to Ty Johnson. You should have just gone right to Cooks as soon as you started evading. And now we have the question mark there. Cooks is still wide open.
Yeah, and he goes back to the middle anyway.
He goes back to the middle. And then even if he goes back to the middle, maybe there's a chance you could still fire it, but you can still fire it to Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
He's still there. And I know this seems probably, again, like nitpicking and the game is played faster. And I could see a lot of people who love Josh Allen and defend Josh Allen blaming something else. But I'm most upset that he didn't get to Cooks after he stepped up. But even if he didn't, there were multiple other ways that he could have gotten this ball across. And it just felt like, I don't want to say panic, just pressing. Like he's trying to do too much, taking it all on himself. And even with all that being said, he gets stopped on like the half-yard line, like Kevin Dyson in the Super Bowl against the Rams with Rams and Titans. But he had multiple opportunities here, and for whatever reason, he just doesn't pull the trigger to the easiest option or another very viable option in Ty Johnson.
Yep. And so we move forward in the game here. Third down play here. Obviously, you can see nearly in field goal range. And the Bills run a play that, they've started to roll out the last few weeks, the constraint to, a bunch of their plays that they already run that look like mesh. And you see that return by Shakir to the top of the screen, but the Eagles are pattern matching. So they do a great job of shutting that down. Yeah. And Josh just continues to look down the middle of the field. When he gets to his progression, he gets through his progressions, Ty Johnson's wide open.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's not looking at Ty right here. Just throw it to him. And with the thinking, okay, I can live to see another down. Maybe we get a few yards, and instead of McDermott sending Badgley in, we go for it. But you got to give your team a chance, not just for a field goal, but to even extend the drive. He doesn't. He ends up with really good protection for once in this game. He had, again, opportunities to throw it to Ty Johnson. Gabe Davis converts into a blocker. Yeah. But Josh continues to scramble around, do too much, and he takes the sack, and it blows up this entire drive. It's so frustrating when he does this. Again, 5 sacks in this game, 51 yards lost. When you're talking about an offense that stalls out and struggles and is built and predicated on staying ahead of the chains and on schedule, taking those kind of sacks is a big no-go. It's almost a turnover in itself.
Bro, okay, I gotta stop. So this comment here, I get it. We can't criticize Josh Allen. You're all about it in this game. But this referencing to Brady, you said Brady said multiple times nobody was open on this play. That's false. He highlights Ty Johnson being open and says, "Oh,
use your own eyes."
Yes. And first of all, use your own eyes. But use your own eyes. Brady says you could check it down here, but do you like that? Maybe not. He acknowledges.
I bet you Tom would have
on that play. Brady probably would have checked it down.
He would have checked it down.
Using our eyes here and what you see in front of you. You wouldn't have checked it down there, especially with knowing third down has almost become kind of like a second down in football now with how everybody goes for it on fourth down. Check it down. Maybe Ty Johnson breaks a tackle. If not, it's fourth and short. You probably still go for it. That's the way the NFL game is played nowadays. So that's twofold for me. Like Allen not checking it down. And then my also issue with this too is this play has worked against Cleveland. Allen airmailed it to Shakir, and it worked the week before to Knox against New England. Yep. People are screen grabbing like this moment right there and being like, why is everybody so close together up top? Like this play sucks. Because
spacing.
Spacing. That play is designed, again, in an ideal world, it's man coverage, and we've broken this play down. In an ideal world, Knox and Shavers are creating rubs and picks for Shakir to get back open on that pivot route or that return
They
route.
ran it again too, right, Anthony? They ran it in the low red zone to Knox when everyone thought he scored. And it was a really nice pick by Shavers on that one. One would say almost an offensive pass interference, but they completed that one and almost scored. So I don't understand why people are cherry picking that, because this is actually a very good play. And like I said, a constraint to mesh. It looks like mesh, and then it isn't on the return route by Shakir. But when teams pattern match or they're in zone, it's not going to work that way. So they didn't get the coverage they wanted. So Josh should know, I need to get to my check down.
And especially against a front like Philly that we've highlighted, they are filled on the interior and the edge with athleticism and juice. And you're playing on maybe kind of like a bum wheel.
Yeah.
Just check it down. Just check it down. You can't play the Josh Allen hero ball stuff against that front in this moment. Like, just take what you can get. It's right there. Go forward, and take your chances on what? I don't know, 4th and 4, 4th and 3, maybe 4th and 2. There's time there. As you have highlighted, the Petri dish, as you always love to say, it's there. Check it down to Ty Johnson. And even when he starts to scramble, Ty Johnson is there. Those are my biggest things. Like, he could have checked it down, and everybody's screen grabbing the piece up top. That play has worked multiple times, and everybody's loved it. And granted, it doesn't work on this one, but spacing. I just screenshot this one.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's frustrating. And the thing is, like, there were several moments where in the game, if you watch it on the broadcast, that Tom Brady, it's hard to try to even get a word in when you're talking about what Tom Brady said on the broadcast. There were some protection issues that he highlighted in the game where he's absolutely wrong. Again, we've had multiple offensive linemen in the film room, and we've gone over exact issues that we've seen on those kind of protections, and we showed you exactly what was supposed to happen. But because Tom Brady said it, it's false.
And also, let's not too, like, because I don't, you guys think you know more than Tom Brady. We have the luxury of having the knowledge that we have of, like, doing this for so long and studying this team and speaking with the players, but also we get to watch these plays as many times as we want before we come to our conclusion. Tom Brady and any other broadcaster, they're watching it once and then they're saying what happened. So there's a chance that they can be wrong or they're not seeing the right thing. And that happens to guys from time to time. But yeah, I don't know how you can watch that last play and be like, Ty Johnson's not open. Especially after you exhaust the progression on the front side, like, and you look left. Yeah. He's there.
And Brady said that, and knowing Brady and his career and how he made his career,
oh my God,
he would have checked it down. I don't know.
Let's play the game. He would have checked it down to who? James White or Danny Woodhead or whatever scat back running back that would have been. He would have checked it down.
Right. He would have checked it down. And he's told Allen to his face that he needs to check it down more. Yes. So again, when you being in the booth, it's difficult.
Yeah.
I think when he said that, based on the angles you're looking at, and maybe even as a fan, if you're at the game, you're like, okay, maybe there wasn't anyone open, but you can see with your own eyes, there was someone open as a check down, as a security blanket. All right, we're moving on, Anthony. Let's move on to the next play. Another big play from Cooks. This is our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy. Play of the game. Josh Allen, Brandin Cooks. And I asked, given the first big play to Cooks and then this one, does this count as a boundary receiver? Because both of these big plays, he started in the slot. Anyways, I digress. Big post, and you have another deep in-breaking route. Great work by the Bills. A little high-low. You see the safety kind of drop down into that deep hole there and take away that crosser. And now you have leverage on Epps, number 39 deep. Epps does a great job closing that distance and closing that cushion. And it's Brandin Cooks who has an even better play and makes a hell of a catch. I don't know how, but a great play. And Anthony, would you say he made it look easy?
He really did. This is a really good one for like this theme of like us picking the plays for this that are really difficult and not easy. You hit it. Blanket chip again, similar to the Brandin Cooks play earlier. He's that safety that nails down on Palmer here. It allows Cooks to get behind him, and Epps is in position. He sees this the whole way, and Cooks goes up. Cooks plays this. I don't want to say. I'm going to say it. Cooks plays this the way like everyone wants Keon Coleman to play.
Yeah.
Like goes up and scrapes this rebound off the glass. Like Bob, and you can see it on the broadcast. They slowed it down a bunch, like because Epps is there. He punches through the hands. Epps is there the whole way. Like you said, he closes down that space. Cooks goes up. Epps battles him with it, and Cooks is able to secure the catch, like loses it, re-secures it on his way down to the ground. And you can even see, I love Epps there. Epps puts his head back like, oh, like, dude, because, and those are the ones that suck. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, come on. Like, I was in position. I punched through. The ball came loose as we were both going to ground. I don't know how I didn't knock this out. Yeah, that vision, that's beautiful. That should have been the episode graphic for this one. Just absolutely like, oh, like, come on. Yeah, that's a great play from Cooks. And it's nice. I think what's nice too with this one, we've talked about on the show, and a lot of people are talking about, a couple of people mentioned it in the chat, and people mentioned on social, like Allen having trust and faith in his guys. And we've talked about him having so much trust in Kincaid. It would be nice if he started to get it into someone else, anybody else. And Cooks making catches like this, the deep shot earlier. This is encouraging because, again, this isn't the type of play you expect from Brandin Cooks. He's not the dude who's supposed to play like he's in the low post to go up and get rebounds off the glass.
Yeah, he's definitely more of that, hey, throw it to space, I'll run up under it type guy. But it was nice to see, yes, these deep shots, these posts by him, but also they got him involved on just some rhythm and timing passes into the flats, kind of playing off of Shakir. Cooper DeJean was, crashing hard in the slot on Shakir. And so they ran some plays for Cooks off of Shakir to the flats, and they got some easy plays to move the ball down the field on those final two drives. Obviously, this was one of the bigger ones to kind of swing the field, and that's why he's so important. When an offense starts to stall out and struggle, you got to get some explosives going. You got to be able to swing field position. That's why his role is incredibly important, and hopefully he can continue to be this type of asset to the Bills offense, getting vertical, taking the top off of coverages, because it's only going to open up things for Josh Palmer's of the world, Khalil Shakir, and obviously Don Kincaid when he is healthy and back on the field, which we expect come playoff time.
Yeah, 1,000%. And this was a very difficult catch, which is why it's our Easy Loan Auto Sales, making it look easy play of the game. Sponsored, of course, by our friends at Easy Loan Auto Sales, who is Western New York's premier buy here, pay here car dealership with locations in both Buffalo and Lockport. Regardless of your credit history, they offer the fastest car buying experience around. Get approved and reserve your vehicle all from your phone. You can start your approval at easyloanauto.com, and you could be driving today.
Appreciate them again, being here with us as a sponsor for the last few years. Unfortunately, we got to move forward, and we got to finish this breakdown when we're talking the offense on the miss 2-point. Walter says it's a little funny that one of Allen's best games in a while, throwing the deep ball, was also wildly inconsistent in every other area of the field. Very true, Walter.
We can't have nice things. That's why
very unfortunate. Yes, you're not. I hope we enjoyed that perfect game from the Bills against the Patriots a few years ago, because it's only downhill from there. All right. We do know that, right? Well, this was obviously the 2-point conversion, and we talked about it. It's a very good mix up and counter to what the Bills love to run. Typically, you've seen it the last few weeks is how much play action the Bills have run. And usually they'll kind of speed the running back out to the flats here. Instead, they kind of inverse it and use Gilliam as a speed out to the flats, and they use Davis as a blocker. And so they're making it look like they're going to do that speed boot look and throw it out quickly to the flats. And you can see and feel how the defense reacts to it. Even from the bottom screen, look, everyone's looking this way, right? They're all looking this way. They sensed it. And I think even based on the defense they called and having multiple defenders to the right side of the Bills offense, kind of really shows that this is what they were expecting. So Josh looks to backside, right? Front side's taken away, looks backside, and you can see everyone with their eyes to the middle of the field. You can see now these linebackers, these safeties, they're expecting crossers here. But on the backside, the Bills pivoted, and they run a return route with Josh Palmer in front of the end zone with Quinyon Mitchell on him. And then they bend Shakir along the back line. Just beautiful, man. Just totally uncovers from Campbell. He's wide open, but Josh misses him. It's not an easy throw. Josh is under duress. We'll get back to it. Josh is under duress. There's no doubt. But you can see that there is an opportunity, even under duress, even with this guy right here, there's a window right here for Josh And there's an opportunity for Josh to just quickly set his feet instead of throwing off platform, off balance, running backwards, fading away, whatever you want to call it, whatever that is, don't do that. Josh, it just, you need your platform on these kind of throws in these high leverage moments. He blows the throw and he immediately knows it. And unfortunately, Bills lose the game.
Yeah, and the trajectory on the throw too, like, because I could even see him being like, okay, or if you really want to play devil's advocate, Jalix Hunt, whose name we've called out several times, good player. He's dropping there into the little hole. Maybe he's in the window. Maybe Allen feels that a little bit at the last minute or sees him the whole way. Let's just arc this ball a little bit. Like, there is nobody by where the B starts in Bills in the end zone. Quinyon Mitchell has committed underneath to Palmer, so I play devil's advocate again. Maybe there's a chance Mitchell falls off and is able to make a play if there's too much arc under the ball. But this throw was there, whether it's the window, and you can see Blankenship is looking. Epps, the safety on the right by the second L in Bills, peeking backside, like they're expecting some kind of action coming across, but now they're looking back like, like where Allen's eyes are going, and Campbell is still kind of going across with Shakir, gets completely lost. Yeah, that space was there. And as the comment says now in the chat, he knew he was supposed to lob that. Yeah, maybe that's where the frustration comes from. He knows like, I was supposed to touch that a little bit or put something over the top on it and see what's up. And again, whether it was the not hitting in the window or not putting enough arc, it was there. And again, good design, like we alluded to earlier, and like you highlighted now, like they've been running that speed boot, fast naked. Speed boot sounds so much better, but I feel like I've committed to the fast naked and I have to stay on it. But I like that design, and your defense, you could see the defense being like, oh, here we go. And Shakir was there, and Allen did a good job with the progressions. Front side, it's not there. Let me go backside, guys wide open, bang.
Arthur Kraft adds with a super chat. We appreciate you, Arthur. He says, to finish out the year, can you guys let us know your choice for the most old Josh, in quotes, play season? Personally, I go with the chest pass interception versus Tampa, but there have been a few others the past 2 games. So, Ant, I'll leave this one to you. The most old Josh play this season.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I do think the interception chest pass versus Tampa, because there's issues pre-snap with protection stuff, and then he just kind of sugar high chest passes it, and you're like, oh no, what are you doing? Like, yeah, I think that is the one for me, from like a bad way. Like old Josh, in a good way, I'd say also in Tampa, the throw to Shavers where he, oh, hey, Gabe Davis, you're wide open. Nah, screw it. Let me run around for a minute and chuck a javelin downfield. But yeah, I would go with the chest pass versus Tampa. That's spot on from you, Arthur. That was very much like that whole game was old, like yin and yang of Josh Allen, like the stuff that made you go, oh my God, what are you doing? And then at the same time go, oh my God, what are you doing? Oh, nice. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have one play. I just think I talked about it earlier. Josh has been sacked 40 times this year.
That's a lot.
All right. And he's lost 298 yards, and that is old Josh. Old Josh, he would kind of skirt out the back of the pocket and then start running around. At least this year, he's kind of stepping up and out, but then he's circling back to the pocket. You saw it in this game. We've seen it all year. And in those moments, they're big moments in the game, and, high leverage third downs and whatnot. And in the past, he has, made chicken salad out of, what?
Out of not chicken salad.
Yeah, exactly. But this year, I was even asked earlier, is Josh slowing down? How come he's taking so many more sacks? He's not able to break more tackles. No, I think there's just a concerted effort to keep Josh in the pocket. Teams have a better understanding of Cromer's offensive pass protections, and they're doing some things to hem Josh in and create situations where those sugar high Josh moments do arise, and he does try to run around. So for me, it's not one specific play. I think it's a structure or mindset from Josh where he's trying to do too much when he can just take a check down, or he could just throw it away, or hit an open receiver in progression. And I think that he needs to settle back in and let the offense work for him, because again, there's some plays where he makes those, wild plays to Shavers, but lost in that process is a wide open wide receiver. And again, maybe it worked there, but more times than not, that F it, let it fly attitude in the playoffs is going to cost you. In the playoffs, Mitchell picks that off. And we
Yeah.
start asking ourselves, why didn't he throw it to Gabe Davis? That's why we highlight and low light, critique these type of plays, because the result may be great. The win may be great, but we still have to break down and add the nuance and context here in the film room about the things that they missed on and opportunities they let pass by. And so I think that is really where I'm at with Josh this year. The most old Josh, it is trying to do too much and taking way too many sacks and way too much yardage for an offense that has struggled at times, that has stalled out, that lacks elite talent outside of him and maybe James Cook and individual players. You got to stay on track. You got to stay ahead of the chains. It's not coach speak when the coaches and players tell us this. It matters this season with how this team is built.
I completely agree. And like you said, it all ties into everything. It is some issues with protection, like you alluded to. It is not having these quick and declarative separators at wide receiver. It's Dalton Kincaid being hurt and being banged up, and then Josh Palmer being banged up, and even Shakir being banged up at times. So you got inconsistency and availability. Even when your full group is out there, it's still not, maybe ideal for what Allen needs, or I should say needs, because he apparently wants other things. If he was one who wanted Keon Coleman in the room and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I think it is part Allen being banged up. I think it is some of, as Johnny says in the comments too, I think he's lost a half a step in his speed. It's natural. He's older, but in football, it's everything. Yeah, miles on the tires. A lot of times too, we mentioned the pressure to sack numbers being higher up this year. A lot of times when he was evading, he was the best pass protection piece. Guys would come in free and he'd stiff arm a linebacker or shake a defensive tackle and then just go and make some ridiculous throw or run. We're not seeing that as much as your Grandy's been, maybe a little banged up, but it's a multitude of things. And I don't think it's just like with the struggles for the offense. I don't think it's anyone. It's not just because of Joe Brady. It's not just because of Allen. It's not just because of Brandin Beane not getting in the right pass catchers. It is a combination and a multitude of all those things kind of combing up into one. And the pressure stuff, that's it was his so his second year, I was right, 18.9 was the previous highest pressure to sack rate, and it's just crazy the difference here.
Right, and Brandon's alluding to how many sacks he's taken from last year, this year, and this is one thing. It just quickly to contextualize it. Again, you talked about earlier pressure to sack percentage, 19.7%. That's the highest since his second year. That's telling part of the story. Obviously, pressures are leading to sacks now. He's not evading as many pressures, and they're turning into sacks this year. The next column over, time to throw, 3.02. Again, holding onto the ball, running it around for 7-8 seconds. That contributes to that number right there. And so you can see even 3.02 is what, second highest or third highest from his rookie year, and then 2020, when he did have some weapons. Yeah. And so, again, these little pieces add up. 40 sacks we talked about. But the thing that caught my eye when looking at some of these stats that contextualize Josh taking sacks and all the different factors you mentioned is this number right here, throwaways. He has 13 throwaways. Look at how many throwaways he had in the prior season.
Significant.
He's not throwing it away. He's not getting, to his checkdowns. He's not throwing it away. He's trying to do too much. That number right there, throwaways, 13. Last year, he had 30. The year before that, 32. Year before that, 30. Basically, this 13 number, 13 throwaways, is the second lowest number of throwaways since his rookie year, where he had 23.
Yeah, it's almost like you replace some of the throwaways with sacks. Literally
Bingo.
Kind of almost an even for even number share. Yeah, especially with the sample size being the same, roughly, with how many games he's starting and what's going through. Yeah, it's something that I don't think is going to change necessarily this year. It's just a matter of, again, he's got to stay on schedule. And this is part of why we talked about it earlier, why taking the 4-yard check down to somebody is a big deal, because it keeps him in rhythm. It keeps him comfortable, and it keeps the offense, running and staying on schedule, right? It's better to be in 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5 than 2nd and 10. Yeah, exactly. It all adds up. It all adds up.
Let's talk about the other side of the ball. Let's go. Let's kind of lift up this podcast. All right. Let's go the defensive side of the ball. I thought the Bills had a great game plan. They have done a great job, of course, in the second halves of games, but I thought overall in this game, it was very good against, yes, a struggling offense, but I thought they shut down Barkley, especially in early downs,
Hmm.
forcing the Eagles offense to get into a 3rd and long, a drop back passing game. I think their average 3rd down was like 3rd and 8
Hmm.
average. And so slowing down Barkley, he squared it out a couple times on some runs, but overall, the Bills' tackling was phenomenal. Their gap exchanges, their run blitzes, the timeliness of those calls were just on point. In this game, the Eagles' yards before contact per rush was 0.19 against the
Hmm.
Bills. Now their offensive line, it's struggled this year. Their run game has struggled, but the Bills, the credit needs to go to the Bills because this is their weakness. It was obviously their intent to slow down Barkley, and they did.
Yeah, this was really encouraging to see from a team that has struggled against the run, a team that, like you said, in Philly has their own issues, but has the capacity to run the ball. And the Bills played well. I thought overall in this game, like there was some good gap integrity. You had guys winning individually.
Mm,
You had good calls with some of the run stunts and run blitzes you had. You had guys setting up other plays. You got Milano and Shaq Thompson flowing to the ball while Cole
mm-hmm.
Bishop is like kind of blowing up Landon Dickerson, who's the left guard for the Eagles. Like,
Yeah.
you just had a good team effort mixed in with a good game plan. And on a day where it was windy and wet and hard to throw, they threw some cool coverage things out there too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
from a run defense standpoint, it would have been easy for Philly to be like, hey, the pass isn't working right now. Let's just lean on the ground game and kind of do some stuff. And the Bills were like, no, we're going to kind of mitigate that. And it was cool for them to do that. I know Philly has their own sets of struggles, and their second half play calling made me feel very confused as a football person because I didn't really understand a lot what was going on with Philly's
Yeah.
offense.
But also better
Um,
at the same time because like it could be way worse than all the
that is
complaining we
true.
do, some of
Very
the
true.
negatives about Joe Brady's offenses.
Could be way worse. It's everything is relative.
All
Everything
right.
is relative. But it was good to see the Bills not give them any easy ways out. Like it would have been easy for Philly to be like, hey, we're going to create some displacement. Let's let Saquon juke some guys, make some guys miss. I thought they played good team defense too from a tackling perspective. Like
Yes.
Saquon would try and cut one way, and they'd pen him in. They played good team defense, mixed in with the game plan and the calling. I was pleased with it. And, even too, we're leading off with this play here. Shout out to Andre Jones Jr., 75, and
Yes.
Fedarian Mathis for both of those guys, like making some plays against the run, like good effort plays, some physicality, at a position, both positions where there's been injuries and dudes
Mm-hmm.
banged up. Another year where you've got some depth guys and practice squad guys coming up and giving you some meaningful snaps. It didn't translate
Yeah.
to a win this week, but both of those guys had some nice plays, which was cool to see.
Yeah, this pairing right here of Mathis and Ogunjobi they like McDermott said, they were swarming. This defense was swarming.
Ogunjobi's
Um,
starting to penetrate more week at week. He's getting some
I
plays
agree.
where he's shooting on the snap and he's kind of blowing some things up. It's nice to see.
So watch this little gap exchange at the beginning. Watch Mathis. You said 75 Jones there, and then you see Shaq Thompson. He's the guy working over the top. He's the gap exchange
Mm,
right there, and you can see how that really forces the running back and hems him in. And then this is where you see Mathis go ahead and wrap up Barkley as he tries cutting it back. It's all interchangeable, right, Anthony? These gap
yes.
exchanges, these run blitzes, all interchangeable. And I'll stop right now because we have an
Yeah.
awesome super chat from Michael. He says, "Thank you guys for what you do. I really enjoy the film room every week. You guys, Michael, thank you
Awesome.
so much. Like
Yeah.
this is fun. This is just guys talking ball, right? This
Yeah.
we love this, and this is not work for us.
That's
We
true.
would rather do this every day, right, Anthony, than
Absolutely.
actually our day jobs."
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. One for being here. Two for the kind words, three for the super chat. That's awesome. We appreciate it. There's a lot that goes into the
Mhm.
preparation for this, but we enjoy the hell out of it every single week. So yeah, thank you very much. That was super cool to see. Thank you, Michael.
So again, one of those gap exchanges between defensive linemen and
Mhm.
linebackers, and it's easy to do against the Eagles because they're primarily a zone blocking team, and these
Yeah.
gap exchanges essentially blow up the rhythm and concept blocking. So you're seeing kind of guys shoot right here, and obviously the entire line is usually working in one direction on these zone blocks, and so now you're disrupting that with a gap exchange. So very nice work in exchange between Jones and Shaq Thompson to hem Barkley in, and more importantly, not giving him the runway to get going
Yeah.
because once he gets going, he's very difficult to stop.
Yeah, 1000%. And these, run stunts, run blitzes, gap exchanges, they are somewhat risk reward. Like if you run them against the wrong player to the wrong side or at the wrong time, all of a sudden you're caught out worse than if you were kind of just, sitting and
Yes.
getting and playing some regular defense. And that didn't really happen to the Bills in this game. And I think that's even more of a testament to what you said earlier of the game plan. Like they
Game
called these
planning.
at the right time
Yes.
against the right formations, against the right runs. They had Philly well scouted. And yeah, you see the effect there, just the ability to kind of change the math, shoot one side, have somebody scrape over the top. And again, calling them when they did and how effective they were, that speaks to the game planning, the scouting, and the preparation.
Right. And so now on this play, you're getting not a necessarily a gap exchange, but more of a run blitz. So the corner's coming off the edge, and then you're seeing the DN, Jones, and Mathis kind of shoot the
Mhm.
backside gap here. Run goes away. And so initially Mathis gets reached by the right guard. But I just love this about him, how he uses his hands and the power in his hands to retrace or work over the top of the block. So he loses initially. You can see the play side helmet, the helmet of that Eagles blockers to the play side. And then you can see Mathis work back over the top. You see that power, the pry back
Yeah.
open, win back leverage. And as that run cuts it back, again, Mathis takes away the runway along with the pursuit from the backside. And the Bills slow that play down. And just another good play from Fedarian Mathis, who I was a big fan of when he was at Alabama because of
Mhm.
his run technique and technique overall
Mhm.
against the run. And you're starting to see some of that. I mean, how beautiful was that knee drop on the
Oh
double
yeah,
team in the
man.
low red zone, dude? Like,
Yeah.
that's his game.
Just give it to I just want this skill set. It could have been Elianku a couple years ago. It could be
Yeah.
Fedarian Mathis now. Like, give me this skill set in the rotation in some capacity. And yeah, this one was nice. Tyler Steen, also from Alabama, the right
Alabama.
guard there, number 56. Yeah, like you said, he reaches him and Mathis just battles. You see him use the hands, fight through, like you said. And then the call fits in here as well. You get the corner blitz from the boundary from Christian Benford, which allows Andre Jones Jr., 75, to freely crash down the line because he's
Mhm.
got Benford outside of him who's kind of keeping an eye on Hurts in case he keeps it in boots.
Boots, yeah.
And both of those dudes combine for the stop in Mathis and Jones working their way down the line, fighting and battling. I thought Mathis just did a good job in this game of just making things ugly and muddy. We
Muddy.
highlighted him on the first
Yes.
play for getting the tackle and this one here too. But as we say all the time, like it's not always about like the flashy play and penetration, you blew this up. Just make life hard, make things ugly, make things dirty, muck it up, muddy it up, gum it up, whatever verbiage you want to use. And I thought Mathis did that a good chunk. Even when he would kind of lose initially, he
Yeah.
kept fighting through to make things kind of a pain to play against.
And you can see Mathis on this play again. Mathis and Ogunjobi swarming. Watch Mathis shoot up the field and go a little too deep, but he forces the running back to bubble.
Yeah.
But I just love Ogunjobi playing off of that. Watch him right here. He scrapes down the line of scrimmage, almost replacing Mathis and getting back into the gap, back into the play, and he's able to bring down Barkley. I just loved how these two played together, man. And maybe it was Ogunjobi getting scratched last week and Fedarian just seizing an opportunity. But these two, this combination, they had something going when we're talking defending the run. I didn't really like too much about them as pass rushers, but when it
Yeah.
came to defending the run and inserting these guys to defend the run, they made some plays. They were all over the field.
Yeah, I think that's very fair, and it's nice to again see this kind of rotation, get Larry into more of that three tech type of role, and let Fedarian Mathis sit as your one tech or a two eye like he is on this one, and kind of rock. And yeah, good job from Ogunjobi hustling down the line. You get Bernard kind of ducking a little bit under Landon Dickerson's block number 69, so he can force that thing in there. You've got Cole Bishop coming down from the second level, like he's in the alley. So you're getting a multitude of guys, kind of, population of the football type of deal, highlighted by Mathis making Barkley bubble, like you said. Ogunjobi getting down the line. I kind of just want to call him Larry because that's funnier to me and easier to say. And Ogunjobi gets down the line and you get a nice run stop. As we talked about it so much on the show throughout the years, usually when you have good run defense, it's a team effort. Good run defense is like a coordinated dance. And we've asked
Mm-hmm.
Daquan Jones about this and other defensive players as well, and they all echo the same thing. It's very much a, corny or proverbial, everybody do their 111th. And we saw that a lot in this game.
Yeah, talk about coordinated dance. Watch this play. Watch Cole Bishop at the line of scrimmage.
Love
Watch the
this.
linebackers. Here's your coordinated dance, Anthony. Look at Milano, man. Is Milano back or is Milano back? I mean, good Lord, look
I'm
how
too scared to
fast he is
say
to
it.
the ball.
Yeah.
how fast he is to the ball, scraping over the top. But you can see the exchange. Ogunjobi, Deion Walker shooting backside gap. Why? So you could scrape over the top with the linebackers. You see Bishop go in under the pads of that offensive lineman and then just occupy him so that Shaq Thompson and Milano can deliver pain, and they do, and they bring down Barkley in the backfield.
Bishop legitimately knocks Landon Dickerson back. And it's not by like surprise. Like Dickerson is moving to him. Dickerson is moving to Bishop. That is his man. His eyes are on Bishop from the snap. And Bishop gets right into his numbers because he's a lot smaller and just drives him back. Like that makes this play because it strings it out and it creates that angle so Milano can take that beeline right to Barkley. And then Shaq Thompson is playing kind of a deeper angle. He fights through Brent Selleck's block, pops him. They both meet at Barkley with Milano getting the meat of Barkley and bringing him down. Yeah. Awesome to see the linebackers like fast flowing like this, making plays in the backfield. Yeah, getting some of that prime Milano speed there. But yeah, Bishop does such a good job getting into Dickerson, creating the angle for Milano to get there. And then, yeah, you've got other population of the ball, eyes on the ball there. Epinesa, Ogunjobi, like Trey is on the outside, acting as a force player, just like what you get from everybody here defensively to make sure that run doesn't go anywhere.
So Deion Walker, 14 run defense snaps. He excels in these type of situations where you're, telling him to shoot backside, wrong arm type things. And he is good at that first, move or first step athleticism and quickness. That's why we, many times compared him to a Jordan Phillips, like bigger body, but more of a finesse, quickness, ballerina type feet, dancing bear, whatever, metaphor you want to talk about. He did this several times in this game, just swims over Jurgens, the center, and is in the backfield before even Barkley even really gets the ball. And Barkley sets him up right there and makes him miss. But then just look how that blew up the entire play, the entire entry point for the running back, and how everyone gets population to the ball once again. But I love the hit from Shaq Thompson here. How he finishes this run. Boom! Just delivers that hit. But again, the assist goes to Deion Walker, but blowing up this little run right here, this zone run, and forcing Barkley to ad-lib right into other Bills defenders.
Yeah, Walker blows it up and forces Barkley to jump cut. Cole Bishop comes off of the block from Dallas Goedert. I said Brent Selleck earlier. He hasn't played in years. What am I doing? Dallas Goedert is who was blocking the tight end, blocking from the fullback spot on the previous play. Wow. Brent Selleck, 87. Dallas Goedert is 88. That's who is there on Bishop right there. Yeah, Bishop chucks him, stays through. Here comes Dorian Williams, as you have highlighted. It's Shaq Thompson, who you also highlighted, coming through. And just look how Barkley cuts, and the Bills defenders are waiting right there. Like, there is nowhere for him to go. And we've seen that guy at times this year where guys get penetration, somebody makes a play, and there's no one else to kind of rally there or kind of make the play or kind of fend or feed off of that initial blow up. And here we get three guys funnel into the ball. Barkley's trying to make another guy miss. He cuts right into Shaq, who puts a good lick on him. That's good run defense. That's population of the ball after somebody blows it up initially. Pretty easy for Walker. Jurgens is a short center, so it's funny just watching Walker be like, excuse me, and just kind of putting his arm over him.
Right. And so here's another one of those plays where you're shooting the backside gap versus a run. And these are a little easier because of the formation, being in shotgun. And obviously, if they're going to run more times than not, they run across the formation. And so you'll see Walker, once again, shoot backside gap here of the center and blow this play up. Now he's right on the track of the running back to bring that running back down. But that lateral quickness, by Walker just shows up. That lateral quickness by TJ Sanders is starting to show up a lot more. And you can see Walker make the big play in the backfield for the loss.
And I like, his initial movement is nice and the structure of what they called. I like that he's able to regain himself after he gets hit in the hip by Dickerson, number 69. Like, being at that size, I think if this was Kentucky Deion Walker, granted, last year he was a bit banged up, but with what his body composition was like, I don't know if he's able to kind of get his feet under him, if he's able to kind of not just stumble and fall over himself. Like, he gets bumped a little bit and maintains composure, regains his footing and is able to make a play here and influence this play. So yeah, you get that initial penetration, and then that scared me. I thought his leg was going to break on the tape and on the broadcast. He almost gets like rolled up on that left leg,
Yeah.
that front leg, but he gets out of it, stumbles out of it. But yeah, nice play on the snap, and then the ability with the work that he's put in this year and kind of reshaped himself a bit, he's able to get his feet back under him and then make a play.
Right. And so the Bills did a good job, as we said, kind of slowing down Barkley on those early downs, forcing the Eagles in 3rd and longs, and a defensive personnel package that the Bills went to in this game on 3rd longs was a 3-3-5. So 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 DBs, so nickel. They went to it on 3rd down, 8 snaps. They allowed 17 yards, a first down, and they registered a sack. And they used a multitude of coverages and rotations. But I just really like what this package can do for a defense that has struggled to, on the back half of the year, struggled to create pressure with 4, especially. When they've blitzed in second halves, they've really shut down teams. And part of the reason why they've created so many, havoc plays in the second halves. But if we're talking about disguising pressure, not necessarily coverages, going to this 3-3-5 really helps them disguise who that 4th guy is coming. And so the offensive line and the quarterback have to determine who that 4th rusher is coming. But then they also have to determine, okay, the guys that are dropping out, what are they dropping to now? And so I think it adds multi-layers to their defensive disguise and presentations, which can, again, cause the quarterback to have to process half a click longer as the Bills rotate out. Next thing you know, guys are missing blocks. Maybe the quarterback's getting a little antsy in the pocket and wants to squirt out of the pocket. Well, guess now you have linebackers on the field that can spy him, linebackers that can chase after him. I thought this pivot in this game is not new. The Bills ran it like 20 times in the Panthers game, but they run it 39 times this year overall. But I think it's one thing that they can kind of pivot to in these situations. Again, 3rd downs, where they're slowing down teams in this package to 2.69 yards per play. And so this is something to keep an eye on going forward. Whether it's Shaq Thompson or Bernard, who cares? Whether it's you're going to have Dorian Williams and Matt Milano and one of those, Mike linebackers. And so I just love how it presents and the confusion that it presents.
Yeah, I like the versatility and the layering it gives you. It also even ties more into like why the early down defense is so important, because if you can get offenses in like 3rd and longs or known passing situations, you can kind of unleash this package further. And Dorian's played really good this year as a spiker, as a looper, as a guy peeling out and playing in coverage, like all these roles where we've said it. Let him just see ball, get ball. Tell him like, hey,
top down, right?
Yes.
Like just play fast and physical down. And it helps when Milano's back, because Milano can be not only just a rusher, but also the coverage piece that you don't want Dorian playing.
Yes. And you can have Milano be the chaos creator or somewhat of that cleanup guy, as we've seen him be. And it's nice. This package would be super cool with Michael Hoyt as well. Shout out to him. Or maybe they wouldn't even have gone to it because they could have just kept doing the Michael Hoyt stuff. But it's nice what they've done with this. Like, you've gotten some odd mirror out of it. You've gotten some 4-man pressures. You've gotten some 5-man pressures. Like, there's just a lot of what they can do because of the body types and the variability. And this one was great. Like, Dorian just blows up that right tackle, who's never going to see this coming. Like, because Dorian is lined up in the far side A gap, he's never going to see that. And Dorian not only takes him out as the spiker, but also is the one to flush Hurts from the pocket. Really nice play from him.
Yeah, and like you said, you can see where Dorian starts and comes all the way across the formation completely.
The whole way.
And you got the guard and tackle on different levels, so this is a nice pick. Boom, blows him up, and it just misses the tackle on here. But again, now the quarterback's eyes have dropped, and now he's in scramble mode. And Greg Rousseau, with his speed and chase down ability, you see him close that gap and force the throwaway. So you have multiple guys near the line of scrimmage, but what looks like they drop out into more of like a cover 6 where they're locking up top here. I think Milano is actually locked on the running back, but the running back stays in to help out initially. So I think the mix, split field coverages with everyone up near line of scrimmage and how the offensive line and quarterback have to somehow map out pre-snap who to block up, but then see and adjust post-snap. That's a lot to process in a short amount of time. And so I'm glad to see the Bills embracing these muddied looks near the line of scrimmage. These looks that we're talking about from an offensive perspective are confusing quarterbacks and QB systems to go into those pure progression reads. The Bills are kind of showing some of that stuff, and you're adding a linebacker again so that you can have him rush, you can have him spy, you can have him drop, you can do so much more. It adds athleticism, versatility, to your point, to a defensive front that at times needs it when they're trying to just rush four, like this situation. They're trying to just rush four, but which four, and the athleticism that comes with it changes for everyone.
Yeah, and again, because Dorian could be the guy who's covering the running back out of the backfield. Milano could be that guy. Shaq Thompson could be that guy. Each of those guys could be the rusher. Like, you don't know who's going to do what from there. And then that doesn't even take into account, like, okay, who's the three defensive linemen? Is it Rousseau? Is it Bosa? Is it TJ Sanders? Is it Deion Walker? Like, is it AJ Epinesa? Like, you've got some variability there. And then, all jokes aside, like, Epinesa, Rousseau, and Bosa have all shown a capability to drop out in coverage. So maybe you get a simulated pressure coming out of that. And there's just so much you can do there. And then they play the coverage on the back end. And what's been nice to see, their ability to lock the backside, either with Hairston or Trey at times, or Benford, like we saw in that previous play. Things starting to connect for them, which is nice.
Yeah, and so here, again, they have multiple guys near the line of scrimmage. Linebacker here. You have where's Milano? Up atop the screen, he's in man coverage. So the Bills are in 2-man on this play. Sort of looks like an odd mirror where they drop out Shaq as that spy, but you can see how the pressure, kind of forces Hurts to get out of the pocket. He gets a little antsy, and now you have, again, a linebacker closing that distance, and there's no one open. So very good coverage by the Bills, man coverage, 2-man type look with that little spy there by Shaq Thompson. So again, adding that versatility. And when you're playing a mobile quarterback in some of these offenses, and the Bills are going to see, possibly the Bo Nixes, which they used odd mirror against last year in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You're going to see Trevor Lawrence's of the world. Like, you're going to need to use this package in the playoffs. I could see this being a huge weapon for the Bills, again, in those 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 and long plays, because you want that athleticism and that versatility on the field against those mobile quarterbacks and explosive offenses.
Yeah, 1,000%. You're going to see it across the playoffs. Like, Bo Nix can scoot, Drake May can scoot, Trevor Lawrence can scoot, Aaron Rodgers not so much, but we'll see if they make it, or if it's the Ravens. And Tyler Huntley can scoot, Lamar can obviously scoot, but he's a little banged up. We'll kind of see what happens there. And then, what's nice here is you highlighted, so you had Dorian and Shaq up around the line. Barkley releases, as you had highlighted. Dorian sees it. Dorian peels.
Yep.
He's out. He's now covering the back out of the backfield, so he's manned up. And now it turns into more traditional odd mirror. Shaq is just waiting on it, and as soon as Hurts gets off his spot, you get that aggressive spy closing action from Shaq Thompson. You highlighted Groot's track. Groot kind of dips inside, almost like they're running a little 2-man game there, a little stunt or twist. He steps inside, Hurts evades, it scrambles outside right into the waiting arms of Shaq Thompson. And then you had good coverage on the back end. Taryn doing a good job on A.J. Brown on that little shallow drag. Milano playing some catch man a little bit there against Brett Sell. Oh, Dallas Goedert, son of a bitch. Dallas Goedert. Goddard ends up wanting the flag. Sorry for cussing. Benford does a good job as well. Just good coverage on the back end, played with some creativity up front. I'm falling apart in this one. I don't know where my head is at.
But we're going to stay with it, man. We're going to stay on track here. Another 3-3-5 look. Cover 3 look here. Again, one of those sim type pressures. Everyone up near the line of scrimmage. Again, 3rd and long here. And you're going to see pretty much all those linebackers drop out. This is Solomon. This is Milano. Here's Dorian and Shaq Thompson. So they're all mugging the gaps up near line of scrimmage, but they all drop out. And then you bring Cole and Taryn off the edges, and Taryn is a free runner. Unfortunately, is not able to bring down Hurts. Very good poise by Hurts.
Yeah. But
that forces him out of the pocket, and he's trying to run it. And then now, because you're in cover 3, you're in zone, eyes are onto the quarterback. They're able to hem him in. He's not able to scramble first down. Great pursuit from Groot. I love this play. I love the appearance of pressure coming, and then those guys dropping out because all the stress on the offensive line is looking right up the middle. But then the Bills bring edge off, pressure off the edges. It's so pretty when these things work, and it flushed Hurts out. All eyes were on him. They brought him down, and they're forced to punt.
Yeah, this is my type of defense that I gravitate towards from an aesthetic standpoint, or a kind of a personal standpoint arbitrarily. I love kind of just dictating rules and creating confusion and chaos. And you don't know who's dropping, who's rushing. And this was nice from the Bills. Like you said, you get Taryn free right off the edge. Hurts is able to step up and kind of get out of it. I give big kudos on this one to Javon Solomon. Initially lined up, head up on that right guard, as you would highlight from the sideline angle. He drops. He immediately looks, okay, is anybody coming from my left? And then as Hurts starts to evade, he doesn't attack him. He doesn't get crazy. He stays in coverage. He looks, okay, who's kind of moving in the scramble drill, and he helps to get under A.J. Brown a little bit, which forces Hurts even more to have no option as Benford is over the top on Goddard. I just like that awareness from a young defensive end who's dropping into coverage for like a confusion type of look for the offense, but still doing his job and not just being like, oh, sorry, I saw red and like came up. Like he actually functions like a linebacker. Like he's in there dropping to the hook and he's covering with responsibility.
How many snaps did he play in this game on defense?
Oh, like
one.
I was gonna say 3 at most, but yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah,
this one. Again, how difficult is that? You know what I mean? Like
step in for
in
one
this
play,
moment.
man. That's like pitch hitting,
one play.
Showing up. Oh, it's the 8th inning. We need you to go out there. You've been sitting on the bench all game. Go out and make a really good, like go out and get a hit. We need some runs. That's just
and he doesn't get much playing time overall. And so to make that kind of play, a very heady play, again, getting into that underneath area in the scramble drill mode and making sure that, AJ doesn't uncover and forcing Hurts to hold on to it so that, Group can get the sack there. Just good stuff, man. I love this. I love this look. Here's another one where everyone's up near the line of scrimmage, a 3-3-5, simulated pressure. They bring Milano. He creates chaos, forces Hurts out of the pocket. And once again, good coverage down the field with, a cover 3 type look. The deep safety, Cam Lewis, drops down underneath. Again, here are your 3 deep defenders. Here are your 4 underneath players. And I love how the Bills rotate to this because you look at it, it's a 3-by-1. So 3 eligibles down here, Solo, A.J. Brown to the top of the screen. The way this unfolds, it's just beautiful because you got one, your corner dropping to a deep third. So he's the high side coverage on A.J. Brown, the isolated receiver. And you got Dorian dropping to the flats underneath. So that's essentially a bracket. Look at that. That is just, again, that's game planning. Hey, 3, we're going to play cover 3 versus a 3-by-1. That's not normal. But if you present it differently, if you align it differently with your linebackers and use them differently and align them differently, when they rotate, you can see how they can create brackets that aren't really brackets. But that takes away that alpha wide receiver. And now, again, that pressure from Milano as Hurts gets off of his first read and A.J. Brown, now you're just in that scramble drill mode. The Bills defensive staff has done wonders this year at stacking plays, at building presentations, and it's been impressive, Anthony. And for guys that we talked about all off season, the additions, personnel, the additions of the staff, to see these type of things start to unfold, man, it makes us happy. And that's why we geek out here in the film room.
Yeah, this one was nice. They had a couple nice coverage spins in this game, really like they have the past not even several weeks since McDermott kind of has had more of, quote unquote, a hand in the defense. I like how Dorian drops, like you highlighted, but he gets his eyes to A.J. Brown. He's not just dropping to a spot. He's not a passive like dropper. He's active. That's nice. Cam Lewis dropping in the hook there, so we get that little buzz action. It kind of presents like a box initially with him and Taryn and Hairston and Shaq and the way they kind of pass off there. And then Milano, who you let off with just violence and playing through, Tyler Steen. That right. Yes, that's exactly it. Relentless. Like he bangs him right like in the chest and then fights through, spins through. Look at the hand movement, just like kind of your proverbial like a whirling dervish, just trying to like get through, do whatever. Attacking, getting through. Steen is about to get a holding call, so he has to let him go. Milano stumbles because his feet get caught up, so he's just like, screw it, let me lunge. Bosa regains his feet. Groot is in pursuit. I like so much of this. I like just the playing on the front foot from a coverage standpoint and from a front standpoint, like attacking more. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean just pure physicality or violence like Milano shows on this one. It's more of just, we're going to aggressively change this pre to post snap picture. We're going to do some things that you're not going to expect in this one. We're going to drop in coverage, but we're going to drop purposefully to get under these routes and kind of perform these quasi looks that don't really belong in this coverage or this situation. And it's been really encouraging. It would be awesome if they were fully healthy up front to take advantage of all the
Yeah.
cool coverage
Can
stuff
you
that they've
imagine?
been doing. Yeah, man. If Oliver was good to go and Hoyt was good to go, and
Right,
even
yeah.
Daquan, man, just like, and if Bosa's been playing with one hand for
Yeah.
like what, 7 weeks at this point, 8 weeks at this point, whatever it is. Yeah, they've been doing some really cool coverage stuff that continues. I think they're going to need that stuff in the playoffs with the type of offensive coordinators they're going against, and not even just the quarterbacks, but I think Liam Cohen's pretty sweet in
Yeah.
Jacksonville. We kind of know some people don't like Sean Payton, but Sean Payton can still diagram up some
Yes.
crazy stuff. Um, Josh McDaniels is Josh McDaniels at this point, unfortunately, kind of like the right
Yeah.
hand of Emperor Palpatine type of stuff from him. And then even Baltimore with like what Todd Monken can do. And it's just cool to see these coverage spins, these rotations, how they're utilizing the personnel that they have, and really leaning into like, hey, we've had some things happen from a roster standpoint. Let's kind of spin it a little bit. Let's change and see what else we can do. And I like the changes. I like the attack, and it's working for him.
Yeah, it's fun to see. It's fun to see on that side of the ball, and seeing those live in-game adjustments. It is a testament to the staff and their ability to recognize what's happening at elite speed on the field, and taking that information and tweaking their game plan and strategy, and doing some things to slow down the opposing offenses, so that they can limit the plays and drives that they have, and give their offense as many plays as they can get to get going. Because in that game against the Eagles, it took almost all but two of those drives. Those last two drives is when they put some points on the board, but
Yeah.
they were moving the ball. But again, that's why
Yep.
those mistakes by Josh were so important and so crucial to the loss. Because if he doesn't turn it over, if he just takes some of those checkdowns, I think the Bills could roll. It
Yeah.
literally could. They could roll. They were moving the ball. They were just shooting themselves in the foot at times, and that's happened far too often this year. And we've highlighted it each and every week in the film room. And so hopefully, once the playoffs start, I'm fast forwarding a little bit by this week, but
Mm.
once the playoffs do start, if Josh can get on track, and if Josh can play like we are used to seeing him play in the playoffs, to go with some of that creativity and in-game adjustments of the defense, which is what the Bills have needed for
Mhm.
years,
Mhm.
to see that on the field now this year. I think it was a concerted effort from the staff and McDermott and Brandin Bean to bring in guys, coaches, the Ryan Nielsen's, the Pellegrinos of the world, guys that can recognize, change and make and adapt their defense to what the opposing offenses are doing. And it's what the Bills have needed in the playoffs. So if they can offset and get those things to work with each other and complement each other, the Bills could be a scary team.
Yeah, I'm hoping that defensive mindset or like identity kind of continues. I'm hoping they play it a little more earlier in the game and come out a little more attack minded
Yes.
and try and stay on that front foot or plan it initially to keep the offense in it and or play with an offense that's working well and kind of getting out in front. That starts to settle Josh
Which,
Allen in.
yes,
Good.
which I think that will be the play. Why, Anthony? Because they're going to be on the road in a
Yeah.
hostile environment. I think they are going to have to come out a little more offensive and aggressive to offset not being at home in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of see what they do. I'm excited either way because they could right the ship a little bit and go on a run in what is legitimately a wide open AFC. I think you can make the case for literally anybody in the AFC to get out of the AFC and get to Super Bowl, or they could get trounced in the wild card. And then
Yes.
we're sitting here being like, okay, what kind of changes do they need to make? Like, and
Right.
have this whole conversation about leadership and roster and build and all that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be fun, one way or the other. Well, it depends on how you look at it. If it's pure fandom for you, it's probably not going to be fun if they get trounced
It's
and
going to
kind
be
of you're sitting.
stressful. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a stressful time. But they do. We're not saying this just because we cover this team or we like this team. They do have the opportunity to run the table in the AFC. Like, it's a
Mhm.
very realistic thing for them to win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl. It's also a very realistic thing for them to get bounced in the first round.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of see like
It's that kind of year across the league.
oh yeah,
It's really
absolutely
that kind of year.
1000%. Like, I don't think anybody, I don't know who saw the Falcons kind of taking it to the Rams and beating the Rams, like, at this point in the year. And this is after the Rams lost to the Panthers. Like, nobody can figure out the Panthers. Like, the Niners are still working people, even though they got backups. There's all these like things going on. The league really is wide open now. Even the NFC, it looked like it was the Seahawks and the Rams and everybody else. And then it's like, okay, the Niners are doing a lot of really good things, even though they're banged up beyond belief. The Eagles are still like viable. Like the Packers are a pretty good team. What's Jordan Love? Like, what are the Bears? And then the AFC, yeah, is the wild, wild west, like even more so with anybody being kind of anything. And it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. Regardless of what happens going forward, we will have you covered here in the film room, except for next week.
Yes.
Erik is traveling for work, so we will not have a film breakdown for Bills versus Jets, the last game in Highmark / Ralph Wilson / Rich Stadium. But who knows? Maybe if time allows, maybe we can put some together at the back end of the week, something like that. But whatever happens in the wild card round, we will have you covered here in the film room as we always do. Erik, any parting words or final thoughts for the people before we say goodbye?
Well, happy New Year's to everyone that's tuned in and that joins us each and every week in the film room. Please be safe out there, guys. Go have your fun by all means, but do it smartly. Do it. And if you need a ride, call a friend. If you need a ride, use an Uber, use a taxi. It's not worth it. Enjoy yourselves by all means. It's that time of year. You deserve it. Go out, have fun, enjoy times with your friends and your family, but do it safely and get home safely. That's the most important thing.
Yes, enjoy the holiday, have some good food, some good time with family and friends. Enjoy the college football playoffs if that's your thing, and or
Go
the bowl
Canes.
games. Yeah, it's go Canes
Go
tonight
Canes. All
against
right. All
Ohio
right.
State.
Sabres are playing too?
Sabres are playing. They play Dallas tonight. They're riding that
You got a busy
9-game win
night.
streak.
You got a busy night ahead.
Yeah, I'm annoyed that we got family coming over. I kind of just want to be like, everybody shut up. Let's watch sports. But yeah, it's a good sports time. Even though the bowl, like regular bowl season for college football isn't what it used to be, there's still some good bowl games going on. Even today, there's some good ones going on here on New Year's Eve before we get to the playoff game with Miami and Ohio State. So yeah, a lot of fun and good times and good vibes and energy in the air. Whatever you do, be safe. Thank you very much to Carl, Arthur, and Michael for your super chats in this episode. Very generous. We appreciate you being here and just supporting the show in that manner. And thank you very much to anybody and everybody who has supported us all year round. We say it pretty much every episode, but especially during the holiday times, we would not be able to do what we do without you folks. Whatever form or fashion your support comes in. If you're an insider, if you are a subscriber on YouTube, if you're a regular listener, if you've donated a super chat, if you've said a kind word about us to someone, family, friend, loved one, and be like, oh, you like the Bills, you should watch the show, or oh, you just like film breakdowns, you should watch this show, or whatever it is. Again, whatever capacity or form or fashion, your support, your view, your listen, episode consumption, whatever form or fashion it comes in, we're tremendously thankful for it and appreciative of it. And we hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Have a very happy new year. Have a great time closing out the stadium this Sunday. If you're going to that game, also be safe while you're there. Take anything that isn't nailed down and have a great time. Get some mementos and yeah, have a great holiday. Thank you thank you very much as always to Joe DeRosa, our man behind the scenes, for helping us out. And yeah, for myself, Anthony Prohaska, for Erik Turner, this has been another episode of the Cover One Film Room. We will see you when we see you. Godspeed, Happy New Year, and as always, go Bills.